Good day, everyone. My name is Diorvik Urazbayev. My student ID is 12211157. Today, I would like to look at the topic of corporate governance and its relevance for companies listed on the ACX, Australian Security Exchange. The corporate governance is a framework of rules, relationships, procedures, and process used to exercise and control authority inside companies. It is necessary for companies to have effective corporate governance policies in place to encourage investor trust, which is crucial to their capacity to compete for capital. Now let's talk in depth regarding to the above mentioned points. Corporate governance in Australia is based on a set of legal rules, market expectations, and soft law guidelines. The Corporations Act 2001 and the common law contain various rules regulating the internal affairs of companies, such as the rules and powers of directors and shareholders, shareholder meetings, and shareholder remedies. Shareholders have certain rights under the Corporate Act, such as the right of initiate and vote on amendments to their company's constitution, remove directors without cause, and have an annual non-binding say on pay. Shareholders can also requisition or call shareholders meetings at the table of voting proposals, subject to filling their halls. Companies must adopt a written constitution under the stock exchange listing rules, which addresses the details of companies' internal governance, such as the power of boards of directors, appointment of directors, and also procedures for board and shareholder meetings. Directors have a duty of loyalty and care to their company, which can be enforced by the company and shareholders under the strict conditions. Notably, the Australian Security and Investment Commission can enforce directors' statutory duties, and much recent case law resulted from ASIC enforcement action. Shareholders have a mandatory right to amend their company's constitution with the approval of at least 75% of the vote cast. Shareholders who can meet the following thresholds can table amendments proposal without the consent of their company's board. The principles of corporate governance are based on the 8 central values. Here, I will talk about some principles which are important for integrity lawyers Pty Ltd. First one, lay solid foundation for management and oversight. Corporate governance in Australia requires a clear and effective management and oversight structure to ensure accountability and avoid conflicts of interest. Integrity lawyers Pty Ltd can benefit from adhering to this principle to solve class actions and lawsuits by establishing governance framework. Second, structure the board to add value. The second principle of corporate governance in Australia emphasizes the importance of having an effective and appropriate sized board with the necessary skills, knowledge, and commitment to add value and discharge its duties effectively. The third, instill a culture of acting lawfully, ethically, and responsibly. Instilling a culture of acting lawfully, ethically, and responsibly is essential for integrity lawyers. This principle of corporate governance helps minimize legal and regulatory risk, build trust and credibility with stakeholders, and also contribute to long-term success of organization. The fourth, safeguard the integrity of corporate reports. The principle of safeguarding the integrity of corporate reports is crucial for integrity lawyers when making decisions while solving class action suits. This principle requires listed entities to have appropriate processes in place to verify accuracy and completeness of their corporate reports. Fifth, making timely and balanced disclosure. This principle of making time and balanced disclosure is critical for listed entities, as it requires them to disclose all information that could materially affect the price and value of their securities. The sixth, recognize and manage the risk. Recognizing and managing risks is critical for any listed entity. A robust risk management framework should be established and regularly reviewed to ensure its effectiveness. Integrity lawyers can learn from this approach to ensure their clients are prepared for potential risks and have measures in place to manage them. The seventh, remunerate fairly and responsibly. This principle of remunerating fairly and responsibly advises listed entities to pay their directors and executives in a way that aligns with the interests of shareholders and incentivizes creation of long-term value. So, integrity lawyers Pty Ltd can use the rules and regulation of Australian corporate governance to educate its membership on best practices. They can provide legal advice and guidance to their clients to ensure that they comply with the relevant laws and regulation and help them to develop effective corporate governance policies and procedures. They also can provide training sessions and workshops for their clients to educate them on the key aspects of Australian corporate governance, including the requirements of Corporations Act and the ESX listing rules and ESX governance code. They can help their clients to understand their obligations and directors and officers of company. Now I will continue by talking most relevant three factors of the above discussed principles: law and regulations of effective corporate governance in Australia. First is a lay solid foundation for management and oversight. Legal. A listed business must have a board charter that defines the board's and management's respective power and responsibilities. These cover items explicitly reversed for the board as well as those assigned to management. The second, commercial. The board of a listed entity is responsible for establishing the entity's purpose and setting its strategic objectives. They must oversee management's implementation of entity's strategic objectives, installation of entity's values, and overall performance. Ethical. The board must adopt the entity's statement of values and code of conduct to support the intended culture inside the entity. They must also ensure that the entity has a suitable risk management framework in place, as well as setting the risk appetite within which the board expects management to function. The second is a safeguard of integrity of corporate reports. Safeguard the integrity of corporate reports ensure the listed entities have the appropriate process to verify report integrity. The board must have an audit chaired by an independent director within at least 3 non-executive, mostly independent directors. The audit committee ensures the reports are accurate, auditors are appointed and rotated. Also reviews the internal control framework. Ethically, it promotes transparency and trust, while legally, it ensures compliance and prevent fraud. Commercially, it promotes accurate and reliable reporting to help investors make informed decisions. The third one is institutional investor stewardship. Institutional investor stewardship refers to the responsibility of institutional investors, such as pension funds, to use their ownership right to promote the good corporate governance and responsible corporate behavior in the companies they invest in. It is a key legal feature. It's a key legal feature is to ensure compliance with the regulatory requirements and to prevent misconduct or unethical behavior by companies. The key commercial feature is to promote long-term sustainable value creation for investors by encouraging companies to adopt responsible practices. The effectiveness of this principle can be evaluated by looking at the different theories, regulations, and laws of corporate governance in Australia. The solid foundation for management and oversight is an essential principle of corporate governance in Australia that aims to establish a framework for a good management and oversight of the business. This principle helps to ensure that the company operates in an ethical and responsible manner, which is crucial for becoming a good corporate citizen. For example, agency theory. According to this theory, there is a principal-agent relationship between the shareholder and the management of company. The shareholders are principals, while the management is an agent. Management is responsible for making decisions that benefits shareholders and safeguard the integrity of corporate reports. This helps the business be a good corporate citizen by promoting transparency and independence in the corporate reporting process, ensuring compliance with the regulatory requirements, preventing fraud or misrepresentation in corporate reporting, and also promote accuracy and reliability of corporate reports. Institutional investors stewardship requires the institutional investors to engage with the companies they invest in and exercise their ownership right to promote responsible corporate behavior. It is effective in promoting transparency, accountability, and long-term value creation, and is increasingly recognized as an essential component of a good corporate citizenship. One recent corporate governance case that demonstrates the importance of all three factors in scandal involving APM Limited in Australia lays solid foundation for management and oversight. In this case, AMP Limited failed to lay a solid foundation for management and oversight as they allow a culture of greed and misconduct to develop, leading to a scandal that resulted in a loss of millions of dollars for their customers. This failure to establish a proper foundation for management and oversight was a key factor in the scandal. Safeguards the integrity of corporate reporters. This failure to safeguard the integrity of corporate reporters was also a major issue in the AMP scandal. The company provided misleading and deceptive information to regulators and their customers, including charging fee for service that were never provided. This resulted in a loss of trust and confidence in the financial market, and damaging the reputation of the company. And also, last one, institutional investor stewardship. Institutional investor stewardship play a critical role in holding A and B accountable for their actions. Several large institutional investors, such as Australian Council of Superannuation Investor, voted against the re-election of some of the board members due to their involvement in the scandal. This pressure from institutional investors played a key role in bringing about the change and improving the corporate governance practice of APM. So there is a reference, and thank you so much for your attention.